Hey guys, here's today's project. It's actually two small projects in one. The first one is pretty straightforward. This is a 1-inch solid round stock stainless steel. We have to cut it up, and I have to make 2 sets of rollers for a pressure washer reel for a hydrovac truck. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is just my air hose reel, but same thing. I have to remake these rollers. On the pressure washer reel that's on the truck, it has the same rollers, and they're plastic just like these ones. And what happens is, over time, these rollers seize up, and as the hose is going in and out, the hose is wearing up on the side of the rollers, and it wears these rollers down really quickly. And the hydrovac stuff, the guys are using the trucks 10 hours a day. It's in really dirty environments. There's lots of dirt, snow. It's a really harsh environment, and these rollers just don't last very long. I've already modified 4 of his other trucks to accept these stainless rollers, and we've never had to change them. So we're gonna do a couple more to do the last couple pressure washer reels that he's got, so that all his trucks are updated with the stainless steel rollers. The second part of the project is on the side of one of his trucks. He's got a compartment door. It's 28 inches wide, 10 inches tall, and you have to flip it down and slide the pressure washer hose out of that, and inside the compartment there's a heater that keeps everything warm. What they're finding is, or what's happening is, in the winter, like in the cold, when it's -20, -25, is everything in the compartment's freezing because there's just too much cold air getting in. So what we're going to try and do is, he's given me this little trap door that he's got, which is obviously much smaller, and I have to modify this to fit on that existing door so that only this little opening's open, and hopefully it'll keep everything in the locker from freezing up. The other thing we have to do with this is I have to come up with a design to mount rollers around the perimeter of this. That way when the hose is coming through this, it's not chafing on the weather strip here. So this is all aluminum, and that's what we're looking at. That's the back side. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with this yet, but let's get started with these. We got to cut and make 8 rollers, 4 at 3.5 inches long and 4 at 1.5 inches. So it should be pretty simple. We'll head over to the bandsaw, we'll cut them, then we'll head over to the lathe and we'll face them, chamfer them, and drill them. So I got it clamped down in the saw here. I got my stop set to 3.5 inches. We're going to cut 4 of these. Okay, we got 4 cut at 3.5 inches. Now we got to cut the other 4 at 1.5 inches. All our pieces are cut now. I just want to show you guys the finish the saw left. It left a really nice finish, super smooth. I was gonna face these originally, but that new blade, and with the help of the coolant, did such a nice job. And for this application, I don't even have to. I'm gonna chamfer these, break away that sharp edge, and then we're just gonna go ahead and center drill them and drill them to accept a 1/4 inch bolt or rod, because some of these have 1/4 inch bolts and some of them just have a 1/4 inch rod that's retained in the cap. So I got the inspection cover off the side of the lathe here. That last hole I was drilling, it started making some really funny noises. When I pulled the cover off, this is what I found on the bottom. This is the keyway. It's supposed to be in there. The set screw had backed off. The keyway had fell out. I've tried to get this back around to where it needs to be, and I have nothing to hold. There's not enough shaft sticking out there that I can get something on it to hold it. So what I'm going to have to do is back off this adjuster here. And the way this works is this motor basically sits on a table that pivots right there. So we'll back that off so it'll loosen the tension off on the belt. We'll take the belt off. I'll take it off, take a good look at it, make sure everything's okay. Put it back on, put some Loctite on the set screw, and then we'll put the belt back on and adjust it up. This is not the original motor that came with the lathe. When I bought it, it had the 3-phase motor in it, and I don't have 3-phase here. So I bought this 5-horse single-phase motor. This is the closest replacement size I could find. As you can see, it's a little bit shorter, so I had to space it up to get it to work. But it's been working fine. I've had this on here for years now. But anyways, let's back the tension off and get this belt off and see if we can get this thing fixed up. I've got that nut backed off, and you could tighten that nut and it would pick the table up, but instead I'm just going to stick this block of wood under here with my pry bar, and I'm just going to lift up on it and just walk the belts off. Now I'm just going to try and get this pulley off, and we'll take a good look at it. This pulley's really tight. I've tried to wiggle it off, and I've been tapping it with my rubber mallet. It's giving me a hard time, so I'm just going to put my pre-jaw puller on it and pull it off. That way I don't risk damaging anything. So I got it off, and you can see inside here there's signs of galling where it's been spinning. The shaft looks good and the motor looks fine. I'm just going to clean this up with a flat wheel, and then we're going to get it back on there. I'm just going to clean everything up and slide the pulley back on. Just a helpful tip too, when you're putting keyways in, face them up. That way they don't fall out when you're trying to slide your pulley on. Now we're going to go ahead and put the belts on, and we're going to make sure the belts are in line with the pulley. I'm just going to use this rule to kind of sight it straight, and I can see now I'm on the bottom pulley there, and there's a gap up here, so I'm just going to tap that in a little bit. And I'll just keep tapping it in until everything lines up nice and square. That seems pretty good right there. I'm just going to put some red Loctite on this set screw. Got the adjuster all tightened up. Everything's back together. Let's test it out. Okay guys, it's all nice and quiet again. We're going to put the cover back on and get back to work. First stage of the project's done. All the rollers for the hose reels are done. Next we're going to move on to the access door. Okay guys, that's the vac truck door. I've got it off and we've run into a problem. On the inside of the vac truck, that's where the floor is, and the floor comes right up to this door and breaks down 90 here. From here to here is 7.5 inches. This door from here to here is 8 inches tall. So this lip won't fit in there. It interferes with the floor of the vac truck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch this out, get rid of that whole piece. We're also going to trim back this lip because I want this door to be tucked up as high up as possible and as over as possible, because this is where the hose reel is going to be coming out. And what's going to happen is the top half of this door will seal up on this part that's going to be here, and the bottom half, since I'm going to be cutting it out, this rubber will actually butt up against the floor in the vac truck and seal that way. So let's head over to the bandsaw and start cutting this up. Alright guys, just got back from test fitting the door on the truck and it all fits well. It's still tacked in place. I've gone ahead and cleaned the panel with some 320 grit on the DA just to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to add a couple more tacks here before I fully start welding this. And I want to show you guys something. I didn't end up having to modify this. When I thought that this was going to have to be modified, the floor comes up to about here and I thought it was going to interfere. But the floor isn't flush to this door, it's actually stepped back a little bit. And it's my fault. I didn't measure that measurement to see how far it was stepped back, so I thought I was going to have to modify it, but it turns out I don't. And this is part of the problem when you do remote work. So I'm doing this here in my garage and the truck isn't here, and I'm taking measurements and then coming home and doing the work and then going back to test fit it. If the truck was here, it would be easy, but like I said, it's my own fault. I should have took better measurements, but just kind of a lesson for me anyways. So I didn't have to modify this. So right now I'm going to get ready to start welding it. So I've taken the weather strip out, and now we're going to go ahead and weld this in. So it's fully welded, ready to get installed. I've reinstalled all the weather strip. I'm going to head over to the truck now and put it on. Hey guys, just got back from installing the door on the truck. Sorry I wasn't able to get any video of that. I'll hopefully have a couple pictures here for you. It looks like it's going to work well. The one thing I got to touch on, which I never mentioned before, was the rollers that I was going to make on the back of that hatch to prevent the hose from rubbing on the side of the door as it was coming through. I wasn't able to do that because of the way the floor was and how tight the clearances were. There was literally no room. So what I ended up doing was I modified the hose reel itself and moved the rollers from the hose reel out, and they were about half an inch away from the back of the door now, and it looks like that's going to work. The guys are going to test it out. Let me know how it is. But that's it for this one, guys. Catch you on the next one. God bless.